Hi, welcome back to the Dylan Rounds case. Welcome to the live video premiere. Today we're going to be doing a range of different things, looking back at previous comments, answering any potential questions, looking at Ty Corbyn's recent response, as well as sharing, highlighting and analysing the recent news about Robert Aviles taken into custody once again, taken in by the police. We'll see if there's any patterns, trends there, any linkage with Dylan Rounds, get more into that soon, as well as going a bit further with Weezer's comments recently. Like what we've read out previous, it opened up new ideas for potential videos, and we can actually break into that today, right? Also, there'll be some other background bits here and there. There is the odd email from the odd person here and there, which can be looked at as well down the line. Just want to focus on one thing at a time. With this news being more recent and newish, it's worth covering now before it fades away, and then see where we are from there. The process of dissecting things is most necessary at times like this, so people don't get too overwhelmed with what's being talked about, unlike maybe other channels that might do it for hours upon hours in just one singular video, and you got to try and trace through it all to find that one bit of key info. We don't do it here like that, okay? So as we do go along today, you can share your thoughts, opinions and reactions in the live chat box. As well, if you haven't already, make sure to check out my previous video tying up a few loose ends with that mysterious, strange bra shed, okay? And some little bits and bobs in between. So, is there much to highlight right now in the Dylan Rounds case? Still seems pretty quiet on the Find Dylan Rounds Facebook page. I keep saying Find Dylan Rounds Facebook page. It's called, I think, Justice for Dylan Rounds Facebook page, but it might as well still be called Find Dylan Rounds. I saw one interesting comment somewhere, but I don't know if it'll be on my last video. But if it does ever pop back up again, I'll read it out, because it's just like a theory, but kind of an interesting one to do with the name changing on the Facebook page, the reward money being taken away. It's as if, it's been completed or something like that. I don't know. But I just think, I'll just give you my thoughts on the spot. The reason why I feel the reward money has been, pulled back, withdrawn, is because the family now feel confident that they can find Dylan themselves. So they don't have to rely on the general public for any more information, because the family feel like they already have enough, and enough evidence at least, to prove Brenner was responsible. And then the next steps are them just doing it themselves. It might also be, on a small side note, although money to them might not be as important, finding Dylan Rounds is. They might feel like now, because they've got more of a chance, at least from their point of view, they might as well hold on to that money, so then they don't have to give it away. That's one way of looking at it. But I did bring up the slight possibility that when we're talking about Dylan's legacy and giving out drones and pieces of equipment to other families down the line, that 100k reward money could be used in some way or another. The other thing I need to do, just because I've just remembered on the spot, and I'll see if I can do it, but if there's anyone else in the chat as well, just to spread more mass awareness, okay, so it appears as more serious. If something's more consistent, it'll be taken more seriously, okay? So if anyone here that watches No Thanks channel, Doug's, if you can reach out to him, whether it be directly or just in the comments, just to spread the awareness that there was a fake Christy B account elsewhere. I need to do it as well, but when I did check on No Thanks channel, I don't think he had his email up, and that could make sense because recently he said he got attacked or something via the emails, or something dodgy went on there, which other people believe that it was BS and he was received a ban or something from YouTube. But regardless, I couldn't really see an email on his channel, so I guess the next best thing would be just to leave a comment on the video or something. So I just need to remember to do that, because just been busy a bit recently. But yeah, What we'll do anyway, that aside, is we'll start off with the comments of the last video first of all, just to allow people to join on in, okay? And then we can proceed onwards from there and I guess look at Aviles, then followed by the map talk about Grouse House Creek, if it's called that, and the wash, okay? And luckily, because I've already done a project in the past, I can load that one back up for this and talk about it so it's more efficient, right? It's always good when you get to a point in a case where you can start referring back to previous points and material of your own videos so you can recycle, you can upcycle stuff, which is still relevant to this day. So that's the positive of the map analysis, the projects, and at least documenting them and then providing them on YouTube to check back on, okay? So let's head on over to YouTube and see what people have to say. Here we are, we just arrange it to the newest comments. What do we have here? We got Cleo, 29 minutes, shocked face. What do you mean by that, Cleo? 29 minutes timestamp in my video? Did you notice something? Or do you mean 29 minutes late to the video? We've got Herb Healers, Pam, thank you. You're welcome. We got Wanda saying, listen, Thursday, your interesting video. You put a lot of work into these. Cute kitty cat. No, they don't eat frogs, so don't worry. They like to watch tadpoles, but don't eat them either. I mean, from what I've seen in the past, the kitty cats, they've caused trouble. They've caused a few problems. They've been a bit naughty. Okay, yep, I'm saying it. The cats have been naughty. Like, they go near the pond, they knock the odd stone rock in, which can be quite heavy, falls into the water, drops to the bottom. Maybe it crushes a frog, maybe not. But yeah, it does cause a few issues there. So, got to be on the lookout for that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I've not seen a cat attack. Well, actually, I've not seen it, but it supposedly has happened in the past where there's been a couple of frogs dead, like on the grass or down the street maybe, and it's possibly been caused by a cat, because there's quite a few cats down the street. There's about 12 dogs and 11 cats, and in total maybe 20 to something houses, I don't know. But there's a lot of cats out and about, right? But this is the thing, I prefer cats over dogs. And the other good thing is, if I'm out, just outside, wherever it may be, not once have I been attacked by a cat. I've not been scratched, I've not been bitten. Never happened before. As for stranger cats, you know, cats that are just prowling about, 100% of the time I've been okay. Never attacked, never ambushed. The cats have never jumped on me, they've never pounced, they've never clawed me. It's been okay. Dogs, on the other hand, well, almost killed by a dog in the past when I was a child, shoved into the water, almost drowned. Hospitalised by a family dog, great, got a scar on my forehead. Countless times in the past as well, dogs jumping at me, jumping up with the muddy footprints, and I'm like, excuse me, do I appreciate this? No, I don't want footprints on me. I don't want mud on me. I don't even want a dog jumping up right in my face, considering what I've already experienced in the past. But obviously, UK dog owners, quite a few of them are inconsistent with controlling their own dogs. They can't even control their own dogs. And in addition, some of these UK dog owners are so degenerative and ignorant and expect everyone to love dogs. And if you don't, there's something wrong with you. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here, you little twat. Who the hell you think you are? Fucking idiot. Exactly. More so on the cats. I prefer cats. Okay, let's move on. Oh, but as for the frog one, once I saw a heron, a bird with a long beak, eat a frog. I actually kidnapped it from the pond, but wasn't expecting it, and then pelican flew away with the frog in its mouth. Anyway, what do we have? My Green Mountain Life. So My Green Mountain Life is basically Tara. Pack and go. Pack and Go has got through more usernames than Kurt Wadsworth has with dresses in a single week. My God, Tara. Tara, you're going to run out of usernames. And what are you going to do when you come calling back with no name? Not my problem. Anyway, Tara, I thought you resolved it with your email. I hope you're not getting locked out of it once again. That'd be very problematic. Saying, dang, I missed the chat. Dang, well, I don't know, man. It ain't my problem, man. Not my fault. Anyway, I saw, who's that guy? Nick saying to someone else that you got more of a southern accent than I do. By God, man, golly, guy, you ain't make nothing yet, man. Nick, you thought that guy had a more of a southern accent? You don't know what I sound like, man. My goddamn accent is so southern that it sounds like a banjo. Every time I talk, it's twang on my voice, yo, man. Exactly. It can get more. Anyway, what is present here? Hi, Warlight Ref. I see in a few dodgy buildings I think we missed some months ago. That's near Dylan's farm or shed. Okay. Anyone searched the Luray wash? Well, I've heard Ty Corbyn bring that up. I think he might have done, to an extent. I remember in the past, though, when Ty Corbyn was checking about, maybe it was Luray wash or elsewhere in Lucin, and some people were leaving comments on his video saying, oh, this looks very sketchy, this looks a bit dodgy, I think you need to bring some backup, I think you need to, bring like a dog with you. Oh, there's a squirrel eating outside. Just randomly come look at that squirrel. Can you see that squirrel? Sorry for cutting off, it's just caught my attention. No, don't run away. Oh, he saw the camera. He's too shy. He doesn't want to appear on YouTube. The squirrel does not want the drama on the YouTube streets. Well, good awareness. I understand. Anyway, back to the comments. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, there was a time where Ty Corbyn was out somewhere and people left comments saying it looks a bit sketchy. You probably need a dog with you, such as a cadaver one. I don't know if that was ever followed up or not. I just remember it briefly in the past. But yeah, these comments on screen, these coordinates, can definitely check them out. Not today, because I've got a different focus on the Grouse Creek one, but we can definitely look at them in maybe the next video or so. It's best spacing them out. If it's like places of interest, we need to look at almost each one individually or so, or in little bulks, little burst, and then if there's any links, you can attach them all together in an overall video, okay? But this tripod is slipping. Oh my God, you fucking useless piece of equipment. Twat, twat, twat. We've got Glenn, thumbs up, shout out. We got Sharon Kelly. Ah, okay. Okay. Sharon Kelly. Okay, Lance Kelly, Kimber Kelly. Wait, is this a Kelly family member? Is this a family member from Lance Kelly's family? This could explain the resistance all of a sudden. Just read this comment out so you get an idea. Sharon Kelly says, leave Lance and his family alone. Exclamation marks times 4. Why aren't you out walking like he is? You just take his work and what he finds. Well, where do we go from here? First of all, it sounds like it's from one of the Kelly family members. Does anyone know who Sharon is? Because I have no clue. It's either a supporter from Earthworm Infotainment or an actual family member. If it's an actual family member, I can understand the resistance and the defensiveness. You're looking out for family, or like if you support someone, you're looking out for them. So I get that. But the bit about saying, why aren't you out walking like he is? Well, first of all, technically I have been walking about when I tried interviewing some of the horses regarding the talk at the time of Brenner's horse. I went into an actual field with horses present and I tried getting close to them to get an answer, and they didn't respond. and I was walking around in circles. It was pissing it down. The blessings were coming left, right and centre. It was raining more than Linda Gushing was. There was even geese flying over at one point. Sounded like the search and rescue were called out to try and rescue me. I tried waving for help. They flew right past me and ignored. But then luckily they came back a second time round, and I think they saw me because I started making those goose sounds. And I don't know how they go. It's like, oh, oh, oh. I'm not quite sure. But there was that. And another time when I was out somewhere and I was discussing the case. I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to realistically understand distance, location, practicality, right? You can cover a case and keep it alive physically by searching and documenting it. And then you can keep a case alive digitally from distance, such as social media, awareness online, right? Both can complement one another. Okay, it's simple as that. Anything else? You just take his work and what he finds. Well, I'm not taking like that with a hand. If there is the odd screenshot, the odd clip, which tends to be under 30 seconds, credit is provided either in the description or comment section with a link to his video. See, spreading awareness of his channel. Also with his recent live premieres of those somewhat interesting videos, I even shared it on my channel so then people would be informed about it and then check his videos out. So that's quite a positive action, that, Sharon Kelly. Let's just see what my response was. I've provided for and against arguments regarding Lance in my videos to maintain balance in the case. Simple as that. That is true. Just like with the others, even with Candice Cooley, a little bit with Justin, Kurt Wadsworth, you know, on and on and on. You got to question everyone and everything, although it might come off as bad, at least you're maintaining the balance. It's better to question everyone than just question a singular individual in which the majority of the people will support you just because they're not the ones being questioned. But then it's too one-sided and not natural, right? So that's why you cover everything. Now, how did Sharon respond to it? Oh God, here comes the emojis. And that is a lie. So Sharon is accusing me of lying, saying that I haven't supported Lance, that I haven't provided balanced arguments. Well, it seems very evident, Sharon Kelly, that you failed to grasp my videos, the language and wording used, and it clearly shows that you failed to stick around to actually watch the range of videos. It wouldn't surprise me, Sharon, if you watched the odd video where I questioned Lance or provided an argument in a slightly negative outlook, how people would perceive Lance, and then you just absorbed that, internalized it, and made your final impressions like that, without looking at the previous videos where I may have covered him in a more positive light as well. You've got to take in mind that I'm using different points of views. I'm not always directly using my opinion. I'm using opinions of what other people would say in groups, right? That's why it varies. She also says, you sit in your chair and show what he found on your stupid computer. That's real hard work. My response basically was, firstly, I don't sit on a chair. I sit on a bed. And that's true. Secondly, it's not on my stupid computer. My computer being an i7 11th gen 16GB of RAM RTX 3070 graphics card. In fact, majority of my videos are recorded on my phone. Okay, that's the uniqueness. It being small, mobile, but somewhat powerful enough to be able to record videos, edit, and piece it all together as one, create custom thumbnails, source out stock footage, etc., all by me and only me, not having to go on Fiverr, not having to recruit people, not having to pay people to be interviewed or pay people to advertise this, advertise that. It's all raw, it's all natural since day one, 2013, still to this day. 2 years covering the Kenny Veach case. several months covering the Dylan Brown's case, equaling the same ratio as videos made in less time than the Kenny Veach of 2 years, right? Consistency, frequency, straight to the point. Okay, as simple as that. But yeah. She says that's real hard work. So with the use of laughing, smiling emojis, it's a typical thing younger people do, though I guess it can vary across different ages at times. But more so, the expressions given here is done more in a sarcastic way. You see this facial expression a fair bit of the time. It'll be to do in a positive way, laughing in a good way, laughing with someone. In this case, it's laughing at someone because to them they perceive it as such a joke, the coverage and style of, I guess, my videos. But I think what we need to acknowledge, you talk about hard work, Sharon, yet I see you with a default profile with zero contribution to the case. Simmer down impetuous one. And that's for on YouTube, okay? Because look, we go to this profile, 2 subscribers, joined 8 years ago. And 2 comments on his channel, well, yeah, we've looked at that. What do we have here? Playlist, no videos whatsoever, no channels, about section, really nothing there. It's pretty dead end, right? What's this? Gallery. What do you have here? Christmas on the line. Okay, giddy up, giddy up. Get the horses going. Disappointing. So is it a Kelly family member or not? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down below. But you see, what we're getting now, and it's not major, but any resistance we're coming across in recent time isn't from Pancake's channel towards me at this moment, or Jim Terry. It's actually from Earthworm Infotainment. All the happy, flappy, yellowy, sparkly coloured sunshine, rainbow flavoured sunflowers and all the nice soft fields and moist mud and all the rain coming on in to help let it grow, and it's actually twisted in terms of thorns and roots, so it's pricking your ass as they come along and cause whingy, whiny mess. Calm down. It's okay. Simmer down. It's fine. So, just one of those things. Once again, it's more of a pattern and wave. Seen it in the past with certain channels, the little bitch boys, the little posse groups come on in. Yo, man, fool, wanna fuck you up, man? Like, calm down. Calm down, Mortal One. Simmer. Okay? So we're seeing a new wave all of a sudden, okay? In case you're wondering. Aside from that, smooth fishing. What do you mean you are a ghost on the KV story? After watching a lot of other people's channels and after I came across I stopped watching everyone else's and only watched your channel. And on top of it, I went back and started at the first video you posted about it. Started watching from there until I got caught up. Shout out to Smooth Fishing. It's good of you to look at the majority of the videos of mine and look back as well. But, you know, you're a good individual. What I'm referring to are the casual viewers, okay? Casual general public that come on in here and there but don't stick around long enough, who don't bother searching or bother trying to find the latest videos. Those sort of people. You're not one of them. You're a better person. But as for other YouTube channels, you know, the concept of you may ask for permission or you may use a screenshot of another person's material, footage or findings, include it in your own work and credit. That doesn't happen. It's completely non-existent in the sense that other YouTube channels that do come on in, majority of the time, big established channels, they tell the story of Kenny Veach. Once there was a man, he went to the desert and never returned. Now he's missing. That is the same story told over and over again by the majority of these YouTube channels which just come on in for a one-time video on Kenny Veach and fail to include any of the latest findings, right? And it can apply to other people's channels as well out there who've covered the case, such as Jeff Clark, to an extent Jay Silverheels, Sean Horlacker when he had his videos and footage up there before it was taken down on and off, you know. So that's why I consider it more as a ghost in which important information is publicly available, yet no one or hardly many are able to get a hold of it, even though it's in public sight, public view. So why aren't people being informed about it? Are people not searching for it? Are people being lazy? Are people not researching? Is that the case? It seems likely. Like I said, with those big YouTube channels and even the smaller YouTube channels, whether it be people from India, because they seem to do short clips on Kenny Veach or the M Cave, and yet they fail to include any relevant findings of today, such as my material or other people's. It's as if we're invisible, and us ourselves being invisible, that's not the end of the world, but the actual information provided, which may need some form of awareness, is important. And if it's not being seen or talked about or heard of, then there's a big problem, right? And then you get the wave of all the clueless people constantly questioning, constantly going in circles. And it's like, if you just type this into the search bar, it'll come up with my videos. If you just simply click on my video, you'll be informed. Or if you click on someone else's, like Jeff Claus or Sean Horlacker's, you'll be informed. And yet hardly anyone seems to do that, right? And it's been a reoccurring theme. So you will get the people that are definitely involved in the case, interested, consistent, stick around, absorb it all, like Smooth Fishing, like Glitter Galaxy. Who else is there? I can't think on the spot, but, you know, those type of people. So they will refer back to things or highlight stuff, but the casual people, they just don't stick around long enough to figure it out. Anyway, Robert, how trustworthy is all that DNA evidence? Well, it must be somewhat trustworthy for it to be processed and put in place where it is now and how it can be used in court down the line. Like, I know there's no harm in questioning it, right? If you question other things, you question this too. You'd like to have a little bit of hope, a little bit of trust in that it's strong enough, right? Etc. Because if not, it's kind of like hopeless, right? I think if you did get to that stage and you just couldn't trust it, then you just have to be in a position where you just got to wait and see what happens in court, which could take a bit of time, you know. Caroline Middleton, I'm okay. How are you? Son, what do we have here? Hello, Ref. Pancakes may have been struck by the feds. Are those videos still on his channel? If not, then it may be the answer. Our country is in a state of war. Our borders are not secure. So what he did is probably being looked at closely by HLS and US DOD, or should be. Okay, the comment was edited, but beforehand it was talking about military bases or something, showing sensitive material, satellite imagery or something. I mean, I don't really know at this point. It was to do with pancakes were done for harmful conspiracies. Like, I know conspiracies can get you done on YouTube or all over the place, right? It can cause a lot of trouble, disruption, I guess, in the eyes of some people. I mean, have I talked about conspiracies? I think it's just been more labelled as theories, right? Behind like Kenny Veach and things like that, missing people and mysteries in general. The odd time where I've done a conspiracy, but it was done in a light-hearted way when doing those messing about videos. So I guess if you just word it in a certain way, you can like lower the tension and reduce the risk of being punished, right? As for pancakes, I don't know, because I'm not around long enough to pick up on, oh, he's doing that wrong or he's doing this wrong, but I'm sure other people have noticed here and there. As for Google Earth satellite imagery, you look at Area 51, a lot of spookiness around that, a lot of different theories, and then also just common sense going about here and there, everything. Also mentioned the news like Storm Area 51 and all that, what we heard back then. But, you know, you look at satellite imagery, it's not blurred out. It's all there, publicly viewable, so it can't be that sensitive. And the same applies to some other military bases, even the one in Utah, which is near to Lucin or within Lucin. I'm not quite sure which one, but nearby Box Elder County. And that shows, and you see like a jet parked up, whether it's in use or not. And if it was that sensitive, then surely they'd just blur the images out, because there's been some places, I think a place in Greece, maybe, at one point in Greece, an airport, a secret one, which was blurred out, and it wasn't even military. And it's like, oh, right? I mean, sometimes on Google Earth Street View, people's faces will be blurred out, license plates will be blurred out, but then other times they're not. So it's kind of inconsistent there. So I don't know like how things go about, but if there was anything sensitive, it's most likely would be private, and if it was released when it shouldn't have been, then I guess there's punishment there. Maybe at the end of the day, it was just a handful of people that reported you-know-who under a certain TOS broken, and then gave an explanation. Because one of those things where the more people that report someone under a certain like guideline, the more chances that channel will be punished. You know, if there's actual genuine bad stuff going on, right? Anyway, let's move on. Ty Corbin, final comment of this video, saying that shack is right off Little Pigeon Road, and I mean probably the closest dwelling to the grain shed. Come on, man. Come on, man. Right, well, isn't that what I literally said in my video? Well, I was just mapping it out, putting it into perspective. It was referring to last night's video. If you want to watch it, feel free to do so. I guess it'll provide a bit more context behind it, but we're at that like that storage container thing, looking at the angle, matching it up with what that object was in the distance. It was blurry, so you got to be cautious. I simply zoomed on out, scrolled up and said, oh yeah, that's the bra shed. We are looking in that peripheral view. And Ty Corbin's like, come on, man. Yeah, come on, man. Calm down, man. You've been influenced by my video, Ty Corbin. Fucking driving out on that dirt road in Pigeon Mountain. Yeah. More pigeons here than there is in Pigeon Mountain. Anyway, that aside, on a serious note, it seems like Ty Corbin is planning on going back out there, searching for Dylan soon. So that'll be interesting to see if he provides any videos or any exploration stuff. You know, if you look back in the past to Ty Corbin's list of high probability areas, which I visually mapped out and demonstrated on the projects of Google Earth, one of them was Little Pigeon Mountain. Though you got to take in mind, there's 2 Pigeon Mountains, which is interesting, and I can actually show that very shortly. Okay, but let's return back to the latest news regarding Robert Aviles. Right, so what we have on screen is an old mugshot photo of Robert Aviles. Just wanted to provide a little backstory to how he appeared in the past. And as you can see, that common theme will show up, which probably you'll remember anyway from the previous articles we've read about him and news reports, that he has been known to do quite a bit of burglary over time, as well as, I guess, drug use or drug possession. So these little themes that are popping up, these types of crimes, what embedded within him, repetitiveness, constantly reoffending, sounds very similar to someone else, right? Brenner. I'm not saying that it links to Dylan, but just the fact that these individuals keep, you know, doing bad thing after bad thing, causing trouble, issues. I guess it doesn't help. Just reinforces the deep waters of what Dylan may have been surrounded by with time due to the environment he was in, and him mainly being by himself, right? So with that in mind, you can let me know your thoughts of what you think. I don't know how old Aviles was at this time of this age, but there was a news article, Elko County or something, to do with some kind of hotel burglary, and Aviles was responsible. So we move on. This is what he looks like in, I guess, present day, recent time, right? So he does look different here. I mean, when I saw this, I thought, oh God, is he like 40, almost 50 years old? But that doesn't seem to be the case, as it'll show shortly. Then we got this comment here. This was passed on from a Montello local, okay? saying that this Montello local said since Robert Aviles returned back to Montello, the theft rate, burglary rate has gone way up. She thinks everyone will be better off with Robert behind bars. Okay. So as for Aviles, right, it was to look back. At some point, post Dylan's disappearance, at some point, maybe a month or two ago, wasn't Robert Aviles in some kind of rehab program? Is it to do with getting off drugs, getting clean? Correct me if I'm wrong. And there was talks about him escaping, leaving the place, checking out, and ending the treatment, ending the rehab, which probably wasn't a good idea. But then other people were saying that he never left. So that was back and forth there. And that's outside of the Dylan Rounds case. And yet there's back and forth information going. But, that's by different YouTube channels. What do you expect? So I heard about that. Don't know where it went or what was the point of it. But then, just recent time, it popping up about Aviles going back to Montello. Okay. So has Aviles always lived in Montello? Was he born in Montello? I can't remember, to be honest. I think he moved. He seems to move about a bit, right? But if you want to fill in the blanks, feel free to do so, right? It's not like directly related to Dylan Rounds this, but it's still kind of like recent news and Montello news within the area. Maybe did Dylan Rounds ever come across Robert Aviles face to face in the past? Any arguments? Any talks? Connections made? I don't know. But if you want to fill it in, feel free to do so. So going back to Montello, and then all of a sudden you got a certain crime rate spiking at an all-time high. And you hear stuff like that. Doesn't sound great, does it? Right? I mean, you could say, yeah, but is Robert really responsible for it? Are we 100% certain? Well, I mean, if he's really the only person that's come back in to the area and then it suddenly shot up, a bit of a catalyst, right? You can start linking things to one another. And because one of the situations where, because Robert has been known to do it in the past, that type of crime, and it's happened again recently, it's most likely Robert responsible. And I think Weezer left a comment somewhere recently saying how the way it's going, with the theft, robbery, kind of puts you on edge, having to look out for your own personal possessions. So if that's how it is for quite a few people in Montello and nearby, you probably could understand to an extent why they don't want Aviles around in the area. I guess the same applies to Kurt Wadsworth. I wonder what Kurt Wadsworth's opinion on the matter is right now with Aviles. Is he angry? Is he just disappointed? Surprised? Not? I don't know. But yeah. We move on to this little profile of Aviles from the looks of it. Interesting how it says Robert Lance Aviles. I'm sure it's got no links with Lance Kelly or any of those. But just interesting, bit of coincidence where it says Robert Lance Aviles. There you go. Gender, male, race, white. Age, 39 years old. I was a bit surprised when I saw this. 39 years old. I thought he was much older than that. I mean, Brenner's like 59 years old. Chase Venstra is about 41, 42 years old. It must just be the... Get off. It must just be the hair colour. I mean, I don't know, why does he... I mean, how do I word it? His ears stick out like monkeys, and he's got the head like a Lego figure, that block-shaped look to it, almost like a square. But if you look at the face quickly, I don't know why it looks like... no, I won't say the name because then you'll probably get more resistance and stuff. Just looks familiar, that face. But would you say in this photo, well, actually, this photo was probably when he was a bit younger. Does he look 39 years old to you? You surprised by that? Yes? No? Let me know your thoughts. I thought he was older. I thought he was in his 40s. But There you go. 39 years old. No photo provided. Disappointing. Record details, ethnicity, unknown, date of birth, September, whatever. Okay. Custody status date, March 25th, 2023, 8:01 p.m. You can tell it's most recent. Custody status, in custody, custody detail, Elko County Jail. Location, Elko County Jail. Has he appeared in Elko County Jail before, or was that elsewhere? I guess it depends where is it to do with where the crime's committed, so, and what state you're in at the time, so that determines where you get taken to for custody. I assume so. But yeah, once again, it's happening, isn't it? I mean, as I said, you got someone like Brenner here. He's done his fair share of crime over time, and it's also come into place with Dylan, right? Shows that even when crimes have been committed, they've paid a price, they've been punished to an extent, they've served a time, they've come back out, and then they just go and do it all over again. I mean, it was interesting what Ty Corbin said. At first, when we were questioning Robert Aviles about Dylan's disappearance, and supposedly Ty Corbin being friends with Robert Aviles, ended up saying, well, you can't imagine Robert Aviles would do anything to Dylan Rounds, preferably because around the time, that's when Robert was just released from prison or something, after serving some time, and he wouldn't go back out and suddenly commit a crime like that, because he don't want to get sent back to the place. And it's like, oh, well, Robert Aviles recently going back to Montello and causing trouble once again and getting in trouble with the police. So, although it might not have anything to do with Dylan, Robert can still reoffend regardless of consequences he'll face and consequences he's already gone through. It doesn't seem to faze or change him from the looks of it. And like with Brenner on screen, Brenner doing the same thing, right? And like I was saying, when you got certain types of crime, you got different criminals committing the same form almost, who could end up crossing over with one another and helping one another out, maybe teaming up. So you got the likes of Chase Venstra in the past and Aviles, because both have done burglary, stealing stuff. If they're somewhat good at it, they come across each other, they might team up, and then it's double trouble. That can explain to why, I guess, some of the Montello locals don't like Aviles, but also don't like Venstra. So you tie both together, and that's kind of like what Kurt did, tying it within the Dylan Rounds case. So you could, to an extent, put the argument across if Kurt Wadsworth never grouped those two guys together and in association with Dylan Rounds' disappearance, then we probably wouldn't be where we are now talking about Aviles or Chase Venstra to an extent. Maybe Chase Venstra's name probably would still come up more than Aviles just because of the unrelated gun charges, right? I mean, I don't know if anyone else ever gets confused with all these different names or who's charged with what and whatnot, but it's understandable. When you're dealing with a case and there's so many different names being juggled about, the ones directly associated, the ones in question, and then the others are just rumours, it does get hard to manage. It's understandable. When I was covering the Kenny Veach case, it wasn't that bad. You're literally just looking at one person, one missing individual, followed by the odd other missing individual, and then simply the family members. That was it for most part of it, right? In the Dylan Rounds case, it's much wider. Maybe in recent time, it's become more narrowed down of who's responsible. But the odd little crack remains, which opens up the questions of, is there anyone else responsible, or just simply knows of something they've not released? That type of stuff. But as for Robert Aviles, you can give your own thoughts down below. With him constantly reoffending, is it simply because he can't control himself? He can't control the urge? He's lacking the control. Kind of like Brenner, not snapping, but just simply doing bad stuff, committing crimes. You can't help yourself. Is it because of that? Or is there any other reason to why he reoffends constantly? Because he'll be taken into custody where he's in a better environment than being out in the open where, you know, might be living a bit more rough, or limited food, not as good maybe. I mean, people have put the point forward about Brenner, saying Brenner is probably in a better place now than what he's ever been, right? Instead of being in a trailer in the desert, maybe with limited food, resources, items, etc., being in, you know, what's it called now? I forgot the name of the bloody prison. Weber County Jail. Weber County Jail, with Brenner being there at least, or up to a certain point. Aside from the withdrawal from the alcohol, he's been receiving probably better food than he would normally have when he's on the outside, and better sleeping conditions as well, and it being a bit warmer too, right? You got to take that all in mind. So, and same like within the UK as well, you'll get homeless people or some bad people that may commit a crime but then constantly keep committing it, because if they are homeless, they're better off in jail than they are on the streets, and the only way to be in jail is if they do something bad. Or when they get out and they don't know what to do, they might just reoffend because it's the easiest thing to do, but it's also benefiting them as well because they're getting better food, they're getting better living areas, right? So I guess that can apply as well to the US in a way, like with Brenner. And, you know, other people have suggested it themselves. So I'm just wondering, is there a pattern there with Aviles? He's doing the same thing. You know, just leave your thoughts down below. Can't be doing some really deep psychological analysis on Robert Aviles because one, it's not as necessary, and two, don't have enough to go off from it to start tapping on in, right? I mean, okay, did it with Kurt Wadsworth to an extent, but that's only because he's been tied in with the Dylan Brown's case, right? And that's another thing. If Kurt Wadsworth is so innocent, considering he's from Montello, right? Kind of like an outsider to Lucin, just because of the distance, right? Being in a different state, different area. If the likes of Venstra possibly, or the likes of Robert Aviles, or maybe the likes of Ty Corbyn, yeah, regardless of status or, you know, where they lie within the case, whether they're searchers or people that are seen as involved in the disappearance of Dylan, and just take in mind, Ty, I'm not referring to you, I'm just including all the different names within Montello that have popped up here or there in some way, in some discussion in the Dylan Brown's case. If you just completely put Montello aside and just focused on Dylan and Lucin, the names that would really only be popping up is Dylan, Brenner, maybe Ivor Zadowski, just a little bit, and Don Haley, and then that would be it, right? And then the other stuff would be seen by others then as irrelevant because it's background noise. So if Kurt Wadsworth, in a way, believes that or knows that he's innocent, he keeps putting himself into the pitch, into the frame of stuff. He knows this and he knows that, right? Seems to know all what's going on. And it's like, I've seen a few comments where people have said that, well, if Kurt knows more than what he thinks, then what's he doing with it? I think Tom Evans or someone said something about Kurt Wadsworth having 15 hours worth of recordings of Ed Harshberger. I assume that's over the phone, and it's like, okay, 15 hours, that's a lot of time. What's the purpose of it? What does it reveal? Something of interest or not? Fucking headboard keeps rattling. Is it something of interest? If so, is it being reported to the police, or is it just falling on deaf ears? Because what's the point saying you got this and that if it's not really going to be used, right? Just seems a bit pointless, right? And some people giving a comment saying, with Kurt, seem to know quite a bit. You know, how does he know all this and that? Like, what else does he know? What else has he not, you know, noted down or said public? That's what leads to that questioning. He talks a lot, right? He seems to be really involved in this case, or was at one point. And it's like, are the innocent people normally still talking to this day or really involved in the case? Like, there? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Like, how do I say it? The people that might have been accused of being involved but then faded out with time, were they as verbal or vocal at the beginning? I don't know. As a Kurt Wadsworth, he seems to be vocal from the early days up to now, right? I don't know if you went back to the beginning or if everything was on reset, literally, if anything could have turned out any differently or any better, right? I can't remember what the poll results were for that one, what we said about Kurt Wadsworth influence over the likes of pancakes. I can't remember. I think maybe it was tied between there might be a bit of change or no change at all. I can't remember. But yeah, that was just some rough news on Aviles. Will more come out down the line? Maybe. Will there be some kind of link with Dylan Rounds? Maybe some people will try to do that, but I'm not, because there's no need to at this moment in time, right? There's no links, it's just burglary, okay? The only thing you could acknowledge in the past, but don't think it's been reinforced enough, is if Dylan's farm or any of Dylan's equipment was ever touched, harmed, stolen, way back in the past, or just before he disappeared. You know, if you got the likes of Chase Venstre, you got the likes of Aviles going about here and there when they're out in the open, and there's still there. If they see an opportunity, they'll probably make the most of it, right? So I don't know if Dylan has ever been caught up within all that. I mean, Dylan, and he supposedly came across Chase Venstre the 25th of May for the first time ever. So I guess Dylan's done quite well avoiding Chase Venstre all through those years and months, I guess. I don't know about Robert Aviles though. And also, just a quick point, we can refer back to Chase Venstre in another video. As I said, I'm just going to dissect it, right? Whether it be to do with where he was at the time, Chase, or a certain event that occurred down the line, or with Don Hately, like with Weezer's comments. I will get into that eventually. But is there any possibility that, let's say Dylan didn't go missing, and we're just talking about the concept of items being stolen, burglaries. Chase Venstre is known for it. Robert Aviles seems more in on that type of crime. With Dylan helping out Chase Venstre, would it have ever granted immunity for Dylan? Items not being stolen? You know, like, if you're friends with someone, they might not harm you. If you get on well with someone, they might not target you, but they'll target other people. You know, some kind of understanding. And with Dylan helping Chase Venstre out, would that have made a difference whatsoever? Or is it more so the same situation like how it was with Bibbins and Brenner, how Bibbins helped Brenner, but Brenner never helped Bibbins, such as giving him free rides all over the place, but not paying for the gas or fuel or giving anything back? Is that what Aviles is like? Is that what Chase Venstre is like? I don't know, but if anyone knows, feel free to list it down below. If anyone's had any bad run-ins or encounters with those type of people, list it down below. If you know what their personality type is like, list that down below. Kind of like what we've seen with Brenner, how the family of Dylan Brown said that Brenner is quite cold, and people in the chat have voted saying that he's emotionless, right? Just to see if there's any patterns with certain types of crime, certain types of people with certain types of behaviour. You know, maybe you might detect something. I don't know, but it's just worth highlighting. I think we'll leave it there regarding Robert Aviles. Don't need to go any deeper. And I guess we can move on to Google Earth now. Right, here we are on Google Earth. You can see the markers. We've got Pigeon Mountain, we've got Governor Spring. These are just places, high probability areas. Ty Corbin has highlighted himself. And the marker there with the red line titled Wash is up at Grouse Creek, the place what Weezer pointed out in recent time with her comment on YouTube regarding Bibbins giving his opinion to where Dylan could possibly be. And the talk was, maybe we can try and zoom in closer later, is that up Grouse Creek, wherever there's like cars, abandoned ones scattered about with bullet holes within them, right? Maybe it's a shooting range, it's where people just piss about and stuff, right? But if it's quiet and abandoned, it's probably an opportunistic place to dispose of something or someone, right? But we can get deeper shortly. Just wanted to point out the bit about Pigeon Mountain. I don't know if it'll show up in text when zooming in immediately. I mean, it's labelled there, but that's not an official marker. There you go. Little Pigeon Mountains. That's more south of Dylan's farm, which is there, Dylan's farm, okay? But then north, you do have the other one. Will the name show up? I don't know. It doesn't seem to be showing up. But if I type in pigeon, there you go. Look, Pigeon Mountain. Right there. You can see it's interesting, like the shaping of it and the shadows which are casted on the sides. Got a few cracks in there. Don't know if there are any small caves or not, but they look quite narrow. But interesting, you got Little Pigeon Mountain and then you've got Pigeon Mountain. Pigeon Mountain on screen is north of Dylan's farm. Okay. Dylan's farm being here. Pigeon Mountain being up here. North, northeast-ish. Little Pigeon Mountain is south of Dylan's farm, down here. But they are adjacent to one another, as you can clearly see. So that's interesting, if you wanted to point out. The only reason why I wanted to say is just in case there was ever any confusion, right? You know, if we're ever talking about the campers out there, the witnesses, someone could say little pigeon, the other person could say pigeon, and you may think it's the same thing, but clearly it's not. So I just wanted to spread awareness around that. You got Little Pigeon Mountain down here, okay? Little Pigeon Mountains, and then Pigeon Mountain. Little Pigeon Mountain is where those campers, hikers were at on the 27th of May during nighttime when they witnessed Dylan's farm, Dylan's tractor in action with the lights on doing the seeding, okay? Just a little reference point there I wanted to highlight. So forget about the other little markers because we have looked at them in the past. Just want to focus in on this wash, which goes, I think it starts from Grouse Creek and then works its way into Lucin. And we have followed the wash itself. I mean, like zooming into the area, Grouse Creek is further up that way, unless there's any additional washes, right? Like, is that a wash there? Like a small wash, possibly. So I mean, you got all these different opportunities, right? So maybe we don't need to focus too much here, but this wash, you see in the red line, as it works its way all the way down, at any point down here or further up Grouse Creek Valley, okay? Is there any photos that show? Not from the looks of it. Any possibilities that Dylan was taken into the wash round here? Because there was still that talk in the past where Candice Cooley suggested it and other people feeling that Dylan's vehicle was used to dispose of Dylan and maybe it went into a wash. And with the amount of washes in the area, there's a fair chance it could have happened, just depending which one. And, you know, during the winter big push, or the big push before winter in 2022, we're searching in a wash somewhere, so it could make them believe that that's where Dylan's at. And to get into a wash, probably practical having a vehicle. Thousand Springs Creek, that's what it's called there. It does cover a fair bit of distance. Can't remember how long it was, but like more than 5 miles, I believe. Just want to know your thoughts. Like, can I see any cars in the area which are gathered? Not from the looks of it. Depends exactly where I'm supposed to be looking, right? I just wanted to briefly highlight it, you know. Because further on up, well, this looks like a dirt road, but further on up you start getting these pivots, Obviously there is a farm nearby, as you can see here. Just flip the image slightly. Looks like a house, a couple of houses. And when you get to this point, I don't think Brenner would be doing anything literally here, near or on private owned land, because it would get messy, right? You'd be seeing he's out in the open too much. I mean, is that a wash there? Looks like it could be. Don't know how big or deep it is. Looks much smaller. Can't see any cars, but it depends where I'm supposed to be looking, you know. I mean, what's that there? It's just like water. Grouse Creek Rodeo. Is that a church as well? Yeah, church. Is this like a little neighbourhood? Do we have street view? No, we don't. That's disappointing. Just depends. You got Red Boot there. Incam Peak there. Let me know in the chat if there's any other washes aside from the one which I've highlighted in the red line. Just let me know if there's any other washes in Grouse Creek which I've skimmed over. Just give a rough timestamp from my video and then I can take a close look at it and then mark it out possibly. And just when you're looking over it loosely, you don't go as deep unless you've done that thing where you've looked at it already up close, mapped out with the little markers. You've lined it up, measured it up to the point where you've internalized it. So then you can go back to it bare without the markers or traces. And you know what is what and where it is. You know, like how we've done previous. Whereas with Grouse Creek, I've just not really looked too deep at the place. I've looked at the farm area or the ranch here and there, but not the deep parts. We've got some mountainous area there, which probably is a bit impractical regarding Brenner. So quite a few dirt roads, of course. Key Spring Canyon. And then this stretch, which goes all the way up there into Idaho. Grouse Creek being named in this spot. Buckskin Spring. Okay. Little barn or shed there. I mean, maybe I'm just blind or something, but I know some have said there's a lot of sheds out there. I've not really come across lots of sheds though on the map, unless just more were built in 2020 and onwards, possibly. I've seen like storage containers and units like that, but not lots and lots and lots of sheds. I've seen barns, but I don't regard a barn as a shed, you know. At least in the UK, when talking about a shed, it's something small, right? That's how we word it. So maybe American language is a little different and dodgy compared to what I think of. That could make understandings there. I mean, this looks like a wash here. The way it goes. But then again, it's like near to a pivot, so I just don't think it's practical. I'm just trying to remember. I do remember seeing something within the area, but it was on site to one of the farms, so I don't think it does apply to the talk about the cars. I think it was more RV trailers. Etna. Do we have any photos? No, we don't. This is what I mean. It's not... Okay, maybe a quietish place, but there's not enough photos. Like, that's the only one that seems to show up. And I assume that's in Grouse Creek. An abandoned building, as you can see. Is there many more of them out there? You know, is that a suggestion about this is where Dylan could be at, some place like this? But you wouldn't think so. I mean, 2017, this image was taken, so obviously way before Dylan went missing and all that. But if you got the odd visitor passing through, like this guy, then maybe it's not as quiet as you think. Was there any text below it? Okay. Grouse Creek is an unincorporated community in the nearly unpopulated northwestern region of Box Elder County, Utah, United States, near the Idaho and Nevada borders. The community lies along unpaved roads north of State Route 30 in the Grouse Creek Mountains. Its elevation is 5,331 feet. Okay. There you go. So it's limited to photos, unfortunately, and it's also limited to the street view. There's no 360-degree imagery, which is annoying. That's at Bovine Mountains, that's further away. Get off. I just don't know why there's none of it. Location, what the hell? Get off. It's loading street view, there's no street view though. Probably going a bit too far away now. So it's unpopulated, it's almost unpopulated, quiet and everything, and yet there's more buildings or farms or ranches here than there is in Lucin, Utah, so it can't be that dead, you know what I'm saying? Unless fast forward on, like look at that, actual houses. You know, you don't see them in Lucin, do you? Grouse Creek, Just, at least for me, there's nothing that really stands out that's odd here at this moment of speaking. Some trailers there. But I think the concept at this moment in time and how it's been for some time is that Dylan is buried somewhere on land, not concealed in a building. I mean, you know, I know people have said Dylan could be buried underneath like a trailer or a vehicle, but never really come about much that. The only other thing to, I guess, acknowledge is that with Grouse Creek, this whole area here, Weezer did point it out to Candice Cooley in the past as a possible option, and Candice Cooley shrugged it off, like ignored it like it was nothing. Which, I don't know. I mean, if Brenner's burnt down trailer in Montello, a different state, Nevada, was checked out and investigated, then why not Grouse Creek? You know, which is still within Utah. Okay? Maybe it's just down to who's got the most information, who knows the most. Did Candice Cooley ever listen to Bibbins? I'm not quite sure. But there has been a few instances where Candice Cooley has ignored the odd comment by people with time, but you know, there might be a deeper reason behind it. Okay. It just doesn't look as dodgy, these areas, to me. Maybe because I'm not looking in the right spot, but you know, I'm just trying to glance over it as best as I can, efficiently. Because like, look with Lucin, I had to spend some time zooming on in, trying to pinpoint every little spot, and even till this day, there's been the odd thing that I've not noticed or highlighted properly, so can be a little bit messy, but you know, with the likes of those other coordinates within Lucin of some dodgy spots, we can definitely take a look at next. And then of course, if people have additional coordinates, such as within Grouse Creek, we can definitely take a look at them, you know. But just to simply spread awareness and to start discussions about Grouse Creek, which may have faded away with time, not been talked about much, maybe we can revitalise that in a healthy, natural way, without it overclouding the progression made in the Dylan Brown's case, right? You can talk about stuff, you can come up with theories, and they don't have to negatively harm the case. That seems to be an overhead power line there. Okay. God, that's a big pivot, that. Wow. And then more farming stuff down there. The trails lined up, uniformed. Yeah. We're facing the correct way. We are. I've been up and down. Seems more of a farming area than Lucin is. So maybe there's a possibility that Brenner didn't go that far up and it was more just beforehand, which was highlighted with this wash, which we have looked at. Yeah, we'll leave it there for now. What I can do some other time when it comes to looking at another location, one which is more fixed on and has more of a backstory behind, I can like map that out and look at the potential routes as well and tie it in with the day Dylan went missing. That can be whenever. I just need to map it out properly first of all. So you got the news about Robert Aviles. Let me know what you think. Are you surprised or not? Is there any deeper reasons behind it? Any other additional stuff going on? How do you think Kurt thinks? And yeah, I mean, there is still things to look at in the case. Just do it at somewhat of a steady pace or rate. I'll try and get a video out tomorrow or as soon as possible, right? Got to do it in a certain way. Sometimes, maybe not as much now, but sometimes in the past where I've slowed down a little bit, I do that at times because, you know, you can't be accurate or full on every single day, because if you are, that's when it starts decreasing and it gets bad, right? So like the odd little mini break in between, you know what I'm saying? Because then it prevents seeing the downfall, it prevents the case or the videos being negatively impacted because of it. So that's why the consistency has been there. As for the accuracy, to an extent, do I have any predictions at this moment in time? Not really. There's still ones in place standing and pending. We'll see what happens next. Probably next video could be looking a bit more at one of Weezer's comments. I think there was an additional one added on after, which I didn't read out in one of my previous videos, but I do have a screenshot of it so I can check through that. And then see about the Google satellite imagery down the line, how you can get downloaded satellite imagery and it appears clearer and more up to date. I'll try and look into that when I can. The carpet was laid down yesterday, so that's one of the reasons to why there was no video. And you know, here and there, the odd break is helpful. Raining at the moment outside, but I don't mind the rain. I prefer the rain in a way. I prefer it cold. Can't stand the summer. And even like with drinks, I only ever have cold drinks, not hot drinks, not at all. So yeah, it's just random that. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you learned anything new or if you've got any questions or points you would like to add on, any corrections that need to be made or any like backstories. You can list it all down below in the comment section and feel free to check out my previous video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time whenever the next video comes. That's it for now. Goodbye and good night.